Welcome back into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey as we have another live show for you. Week 1 is in the books. An entertaining week 1 at that with some awesome primetime games, almost all of which, well, most of them, I guess, Chargers Chiefs kind of did, but very much down to the wire consistently across the NFL this week. One game that was not down to the wire was the Miami Dolphins-Indianapolis Colts matchup. And things down south in Miami don't look particularly great. What is your panic level for the Miami Dolphins after just the one game? The vibes weren't great going in for both Indy and Miami. And then Indy took the belt out and went to town on Miami. It was not a good performance at all for the Dolphins. And you can go look at our Dolphins channel. Nick is not a happy camper either. So, what is your panic level right now for the Miami Dolphins? 1 to 10 is your scale. We'll give some shout outs as these roll in. Richard Lee says 10. Rico Dowdle worshiper. What a great handle. Says 10. Yeah, I just like it's. Man, you spent all this time, like you kind of built this contender to win now. You didn't have a great preseason. You're bet against the Jags in that third preseason. But it's the preseason. You don't want to overreact. Stuff happens. And then you get hammered 33-8, and you make Daniel Jones look good. And Tua was a disaster class in that game. I don't really know how else to describe it. What is your panic level for the Dolphins? Scale it from 1 to 10. Get those votes in for me in the comments section of today's show. 1 to 10. A couple sponsors for you on today's edition of NFL Daily. Prize Picks is first up here. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Today's show also made possible by Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get a free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. They're a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, and it's more affordable than you might think. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage for them. So protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get that free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Big thank you to Ethos for sponsoring us here on NFL Daily. The pin poll in parts, and I think you can make an argument for, or at least reasons to be positive about all these guys. I don't know if you can make a great argument for Cam Ward having the best quarterback debut. Of the 5 new guys who started for their teams, who had the best one? AR for Aaron Rodgers. I'm not counting J.J. McCarthy in this conversation. It kind of is, kind of isn't. You could put him in there if you wanted to, but we're going to spend time on him later, so it's fine. Best quarterback debut. AR for Aaron Rodgers, GS for Geno Smith, JF for Justin Fields, DJ for Daniel Jones, CW for Cam Ward. I think very real positives to take away from all 5 quarterbacks, even in losses for the Titans and for the Jets. I think relative to my own expectations, I think Daniel Jones was the most impressive. Now, that's relative to expectations, but he played a really good game. I will give him credit for that in a way that I really didn't anticipate being the case. I thought Geno had a really good game, even if the passing numbers, what he was doing as a passer was super impressive. Even the touchdowns necessarily weren't there. Fields ran the ball well, showed some good stuff with Garrett Wilson. Rodgers led the game-winning drive, looked not quite to his old form, but better than what it looked like at the time for the Jets. And then Cam Ward, the Titans didn't win, but I thought Ward up and down, some really bad sacks you can't take, and then just some awesome throws too. So who had the best quarterback debut? Demarius Young says JF. Gaming Wizard says DJ. Lore says AR. So a bunch of different answers in there on that front. Thursday Night Football is now just around the corner. I like that you don't get any time off from the NFL. Makes it fun. Who you got on Thursday Night Football in what should be a pretty darn good football game? At least I hope ends up being a good football game because, what else am I going to do on Thursday night? Time with the family? Of course not. C for the Commanders, P for the Packers. Packers are at home and narrow favorites. About a field goal and a half right now, so 3.5 points over Washington. C for the Commanders, P for the Packers. Gaming Wizard says P. CC says P. Lore says P as well. So a lot of P votes for the Packers. I am inclined to agree. I think it'll be a more competitive game than what both those teams played in the first week of the season. Commanders took care of business against the Giants. Packers had really few issues with the Lions. I'm going to go Packers on that one. But keep your votes coming. C for the Commanders, P for the Packers. If you are excited for week 2 of the NFL season, we'll round up and say 48 or round down, 48 hours away. It's a little bit more than that, obviously. If you are excited for week 2 of the NFL season to start, show it by liking today's show. Coming up live, some week 1 takeaways, news, rumors, concerns, a bunch of stuff I wanted to discuss about the first week of the NFL season. A mailbag as well. 2 ways to get in on the show. Super Chat, guarantee that you get on. Or just use hashtag NFL. I saw Tony do a few of those questions in there. I saw Lore do one as well. If you don't use the hashtag NFL, producer Aiden cannot find your question, and then we're just never going to get to it. And that's disappointing because I want to hear your thoughts, your questions, your comments, whatever it is about the NFL. The mailbags are a show just as much about you as it is about me. So get your questions in via hashtag NFL or Super Chat right now. We will also run through some 2026 NFL draft risers. 10 names. I guess it's 13 names. Anyway, a bunch of names that I have liked so far in the college system. Not as big of names. I'm not going to put Garrett Nussmeier in there. That's too obvious. So that's all coming up live here on NFL Daily. Tom Downey for Chat Sports here. Week 1 of the NFL season is in the books. I wanted to discuss 5. I'll call them takeaways, but there's a lot of different elements to this. There's some news, there's some rumors, there's some concern about various teams as well. So whatever you want to call it, it's just 5 things I want to discuss that I think most of you guys care about as well. Now, if you want a video like this every week, which we can do, if it is something you guys care about, show it by sharing today's video on social media. I will always try to do the videos you guys care about. Views is a great way to determine that. So more shares equals more views. Share today's video for me on social media. First takeaway, dear oh dear disaster for the Miami Dolphins. That was really bad. And honestly, somehow a 33-8 result is actually better than the way the game went. Both these teams, the vibes weren't good going into the game, right? Miami had kind of a rough preseason, off-season, Daniel, too, I may not be on the same side or on the same page. How does that play out? Some concerns there. Daniel Jones is going to start for Indianapolis. This game, vibes concerns for both. Indianapolis blew him out of the water. Daniel Jones went nuts. The best game I've seen him play in however many years now. And the Dolphins offense and the defense, too, just looked like a mess. Tua was terrible in this game. 14 of 23, 114 yards, a touchdown, 3 turnovers as well, which you just can't be doing in the NFL. You can't turn the ball over that much and expect to have the results go the way that you want it to. His QBR was 2.7. That's ESPN's metrics, so whatever. But to put 2.7 into perspective of what that means, that's 2.7 higher than a dead body. It doesn't mean it. That's horrible. And he was bad under pressure. Per NFL's next-gen stats, Tua under pressure was 0 for 3 on 7 dropbacks, 3 sacks, a fumble, and a 4.07 time to throw, which means they're coverage sacks. He's holding the ball way longer than he ever normally does. There is a chance this all goes belly up for the Dolphins quickly this year. I am concerned at this point. So what is your panic level for the Miami Dolphins? A few more thoughts on this I do want to get into. Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Here's my thoughts. Look, there were worrisome vibes entering the season. I think they're even worse now. Like this Dolphins team, what feels worse right now? Is it in Florida? Is it the Dolphins or the Florida Gators? Like, you got the Patriots this upcoming week, Bills, Jets, Panthers, Chargers. You bet Browns. You better start winning some games. Otherwise, like that late season run when you play the Ravens, the Bills, the Commanders all in a row, and then you also get to wrap up with Steelers, Bengals, Bucks late in the year, not going to do anything. This team is built to be a playoff contender. Doesn't mean they built it well, but that's their goal. I think both Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel and the GM Chris Grier have to be on the hot seat right now. They don't have a lot of cheap young players. They've made moves to acquire veterans to go out and make big-time plays. Like, they have not delivered on that. The biggest issue the Dolphins are going to run the risk of getting themselves into here long-term is saying, well, McDaniel can stay but Grier goes, or Grier can stay but McDaniel goes. I hate it when NFL franchises, that the Bears did it for years, often tying themselves to a QB. It's a clean start or it's not. Otherwise, I think you're just setting yourself up for, well, the GM didn't pick this head coach. Let's let the GM pick the next head coach. And then, well, the head coach got stuck with this GM, and you're never actually getting everyone's timeline on the same page the way it needs to. Tyreek Hill, also again, finding himself in trouble. Perhaps you saw the TMZ article with what his ex-wife has accused him of. It's more drama for Tyreek Hill. The way the contract is set up, it's tough for Miami to trade him. I don't know if a team wants him. There's another... we're months removed from him saying, I want out of Miami. What's to stop him from doing it again? The fire sale potential does exist for Miami this upcoming season. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. It is simple to play. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. I've got a 4-player stat projection here for you guys. Lamar Jackson, more than rushing yards against the Browns. You have to run around a little bit. Justin Fields, they'll use his legs, more than rushing yards there. The max discount, Travis Kelce, a half receiving yard. It's a no-brainer. And Bijan Robinson against a Vikings defense I like, less than 70.5 yards on the ground. Go download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's go with a two-parter here. Vikings/Bears, but really the quarterbacks, J.J. McCarthy and Caleb Williams, and very much tales of one quarter versus 3 others for both sides. If you didn't watch that Monday Night Football game, I'm sorry, that was an awesome game. The Vikings rallied from down big, 21 unanswered in the fourth quarter to take the lead and then hold on for dear life against the Bears, 27-24. Minnesota wins. They wrote off McCarthy after the first 3 quarters, and for decent reason. It was bad. He was 7 of 12, barely got to the 50-yard mark, had one nice rush on the ground, a brutal pick 6 that's just like, you are late and behind to the outside. You can literally never do that, even in the collegiate level. If you're late to the outside, that is a pick 6. It happened to Deshaun Wright, a journeyman NFL corner. Then in the fourth quarter, kind of like how against Bowling Green, he threw 3 picks in the preseason. He had the pick and then got going after that. Once McCarthy throws a pick, it's like something unlocks within him. 6 of 8, 87 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the Vikings win a thrilling game. So big picture. Overall, I want you to grade J.J. McCarthy against the Bears on Monday Night Football. Is it just an A for the way he finished? The first 3 quarters were an F. Are you somewhere in the middle? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Like, on one hand, you had McCarthy rallying. On the flip side, you had an incredible start to the offense for Caleb Williams and the Bears, and then it all faded away. 9 of 9 for 56 yards, some scrambles mixed in there as well for Caleb Williams, a touchdown. And then, look, I don't know how to say it. In fact, like, he just misguised. There were guys open. He was missing throws. He was a little bit late at times. Didn't always see it properly. The points of Caleb Williams when you drafted him was that he was the guy right away. Yeah, there was some technique stuff you could work on, but like he was accurate at USC. But the fact that he was not accurate against the Vikings, it's a tough defense. I acknowledge that. That should raise some red flags, frankly. 12 of 26 is not going to win you football games. Ben Johnson dialed up some fun plays. It was a great start. Then it was more just heartbreak for Bears fans. You need more from Caleb. One game, long season, but progress is needed. Let's go to Geno Smith, who I was very impressed by in the Raiders' win in the Josh McDaniels revenge game for both sides, taking down the New England Patriots. That was a sharp performance out of Geno Smith. A lot of just high-level NFL throws, willing to attack the ball downfield, the seam shots that he loves, that some other top-end quarterbacks like as well, obviously. Geno, 24 of 34. He was great. You know, even probably better from a yard perspective than you would expect for 20 points. Like you say, oh, Geno threw for 362. What they have? 30 points? Nah, just the 20. The interception was not great. Acknowledge that, obviously, but it's kind of Geno's game. Like there's going to be a series or two where it's like, that was a bad sack, held the ball too long, but he takes those big, deep drops, steps up, makes and throws darts over the middle. Like that's big. I think Geno and the Raiders are going to be a much more competent offense. Now, I'm not going to include J.J. McCarthy in this, even though it was technically a debut for him. We already had a question about McCarthy. Of these 5 guys, who had the best quarterback debut? AR for Aaron Rodgers, GS for Geno Smith, JF for Justin Fields. I did say GS, right? Yeah. DJ for Daniel Jones, CW for Cam Ward. I think all these guys showed at least some promise. DJ was way better than I thought he'd be. Who had the best quarterback debut? Go vote in the comments of today's show. The 49ers continue to be plagued by injuries. I'm going to stick with my theory that the 49ers are doing some type of weird ritual sacrifice to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy. Some of the news that's gone on over the 49ers the past 12 hours, 24 hours, whatever it is. George Kittle heading to IR with the hamstring injury. He'll miss at least 4 games. Brock Purdy's status for week 2 is now in doubt with a toe, which seems to be worse than the shoulder. That's a red flag, although he had a hell of a drive to win the game for San Francisco. Sounds like mostly positive news on Jawan Jennings with the shoulder, but still some TBD there. Christian McCaffrey freaked everyone out, including his fantasy owners. That's me. After he went down with the calf at practice, but then played in the game, had a massive workload. He might get 50 touches this week because there's no Kittle, and we'll see if Purdy plays. And then, to the delight of Niners fans everywhere, Batman Jake Moody has been cut by San Francisco. Eddie Pinheiro getting a workout, so we'll see if he ends up being the guy for San Francisco. Kicker gone in San Francisco. So there's a lot going on there for the 49ers. If they can stay healthy, they are 100% a playoff team. It's a question of, can they stay healthy? For more NFL news, rumors, power rankings, draft coverage, trade deadline coverage, we got you covered. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. I think a lot of times I tend to focus on offensive players on these takeaways. I do want to mention, I think, one of the best defensive performances in week 1 of the NFL season. Even though it was a defense-optional game with the Bills beating the Ravens 41-40 and Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers all going nuts and the fumble by Derrick Henry, which was what helped flip the game altogether. But Ed Oliver was awesome. I thought he was really good against the run, even though the Ravens ran for a lot of yards. Individually, I thought he played well. 6 tackles, 3 TFLs, the massive forced fumbles, 4 pressures. Of note, that's a 22.2% rate. I think you can argue that was the best game we've seen from Ed Oliver. And at his age, there's a chance he has not yet hit his peak. If we get more of this, more and more from Ed Oliver, I think that's a really strong sign for the Bills, for a defense that I think still kind of probably needs some help. It is a mailbag time here on the show. So if you haven't already, get your questions in via hashtag NFL or skip the line altogether via Super Chat. Any questions, thoughts, comments, whatever it looks like, for the mailbag. Get them in with the hashtag NFL, or you can guarantee you get on with the super chat. I see some questions that are in the live chat that have not used the hashtag NFL. Can't get them on. Gaming Wizard, I see yours. I see Lore's in there. So now is your chance to get in on the mailbag. Use hashtag NFL. Skip the line altogether via super chat. Before we dive into today's mailbag, if you are unable to watch our live shows, my DMs are open on Twitter. You can hit me up and ask me about the NFL. I much prefer it to the nonsense crypto spam crap I get on Twitter these days. So hit me up on Twitter at What's Going Downey for any and all NFL questions that you may have. We'll put that Twitter link, by the way, in the comments section and the description of today's show. From Lore, who should replace Jake Moody as kicker? I will make note, we do our mailbags on Tuesday evenings. The news so far has been that Eddie Pinheiro is going to work out for the 49ers. I would assume he's the guy. I would say also, big picture, don't lock yourself into anybody. It's a tough spot to be when you're making a post-week one change. Everyone saw this coming in San Francisco. I think we had Jake Moody replacement questions last year. It's not a surprise that this has been the case here. I think next offseason, set yourself up for some more success and have a competition without investing too much in one player. That's why you hung on to Moody for so long. From the Bright Wolf, just says Michael Penix had a great game. I was very impressed by Penix. And we just mentioned the kicker for San Francisco. Look, Michael Penix deserved to win that game. I thought he outplayed Baker Mayfield. The touchdowns don't say it, but he had two huge scrambles on that final drive to literally extend full body by inches and keep his knees up and in bounds, everything. It got the ball to the 50-yard touchdown catch by Bijan Robinson. Maybe helps juice the numbers, but got the ball to Drake London. Pitts had a pretty solid game. He was making plays in the moments where he had to. I liked what I saw from Michael Penix. It's a shame that Younghoe Koo doinked the extra point, or I think he just missed it out right there. They should have won that game. I will give Atlanta a ton of credit, and I think Michael Penix, if you're a Falcons fan, there's reason to have hope about him as the franchise QB. From Johnny Football, hopefully not that one. Will the Giants trade Kayvon Thibodeau at the deadline? I think it depends on what the Giants' status is. Their schedule, again, is not exactly easy. They play the Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers, Saints, Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners, Bears, Packers, Lions. And that gets you to around Thanksgiving. That is a gauntlet to begin the season. The Giants have, I think, the toughest schedule in football. It's based on what we expect them to be. If the Giants are struggling, come Halloween, they might do it. But are they going to have the assurances from ownership that they're not going to get fired? Because trading away Thibodeau is a good player. You might be getting an asset for the next guy, for your replacement. That NFL decision makers make those decisions based on job security. How do I help save my job? If they think trading Thibodeau is going to help them get fired, even if it's in the best interest for the franchise, they might not do it. But I do think this is a name to monitor because they've invested a lot in Brian Burns, and they obviously have Abdul Carter. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. Over or under 10.5 trades before the NFL trade deadline. So O for over, U for under. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Marcos, man, Chiefs and Vikings. Well, first off, good job for the Vikings. Not so great job for your Chiefs there, my friend. Thoughts about the Vikings' comeback win over the Bears? It was incredible. It was such a good game. Very well done by McCarthy and O'Connell. I didn't mention this in our Week 1 takeaways. Coaching matters, guys. That final kickoff to help ice it, essentially, to save that extra 40 seconds of game clock, 37, whatever it would have been. To have Ty Chandler know the plan and have him look at Kevin O'Connell and say, come on out. You're not worried about the 10 yards you might lose. Those 37 seconds were more important, 40 seconds, whatever it ended up being timing-wise. Coaching matters. I think Kevin O'Connell is a fantastic coach. Gaming Wizard. Who was the most impressive rookie? Ooh, okay. I'll try to shout out just some of them from Week 1. Obviously, plenty of players. I thought Travis Hunter was fun on offense. He's going to have some good stuff. I thought Armand Membu had a good game for the Jets. He held his own pretty well there. Tyler Tyler Warren looked pretty good for a few stretches I saw. I thought Gray Zabel had a good game too for Seattle. Shamar Stewart flashed. Emeka Egbuka is probably the right answer among most of the first-round guys. He had a really good game for Tampa. Looks like he's going to be a future stud. One more name, and I know I'm going first-round guys here. Jahad Campbell was awesome for Philadelphia. The stuff he's able to do in coverage is going to maximize Zach Bond, and it's like you're stacking on top of each other. It's like you're just, it's 5Xing it now instead of just the 2X numbers you normally got there. Other quick names, I know Will Johnson had a good game for Arizona too. I thought he had a very strong performance. So lots of good impacts from rookies. It's a long season. They got plenty of time. Today's show is made possible by Ethos. As a father with one kid and a second one on the way / due any day now, trust me when I say life insurance matters. It's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened to you, but you do need to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, and it's more affordable than you might think. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. From Rico Dowdle Worshipper. What a fun name. Should the Cowboys trade for Jalen Phillips to help out the pass rush room? I think you can take this beyond the Cowboys. If you are a team that is in the market for pass rush help, Miami's going to be a team you call. They've got 4 guys that can play, and they're not going to trade Chop Robinson. That organization might decide, hey, we should probably get ourselves into position to sell some guys that might not be with us next year / get young assets. They're kind of light on that. The Phillips contract is kind of hefty for a guy who has had a tough time staying healthy over the course of his NFL career. But if you're in the market for a pass rusher, like maybe the Cowboys are, Phillips or maybe Bradley Chubb, they just redid his deal. It's even more complicated. Those are names I think you could certainly consider. The Dolphins fire sale is not out of the range of possibility. From Zombie Queen, should the Panthers trade for Anthony Richardson? No. You are trying to develop Bryce Young. You don't have the time, the man hours, or really the asset management to try to develop Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson. The way you maximize Richardson right now is wildly different than the way you maximize Bryce Young. If the answer is not Bryce Young, I think you're better off trying again in the draft or with an established veteran and not another cheap lottery ticket, but one that you're not going to overinvest in. You're just kind of diluting your own pool, and now all of a sudden you put yourself in a spot where hey, he's almost out of a contract. Is he our guy or not? That's what happened to the Cowboys and Trey Lance and other teams in that bucket. Fresh slates with a longer contract or an established vet. Now, we'll see if Carolina ends up being bad at the deadline. I don't know if they make the most sense. Miami might be one. Which NFL team is most likely to have a fire sale at this year's NFL trade deadline? Let me know in the comments section of today's show which team is most likely to have a fire sale at this year's trade deadline. From Zombie Queen, Cleveland should start Shedeur. If you believe in Shedeur Sanders, I am not here to judge you at all. I totally get it. It's not what the Browns are going to do. The reality situation here for Cleveland is this. Joe Flacco played pretty well. Not his fault that the Bengals are making dip drill interceptions. They should have won the game with Joe Flacco. They're going to ride with him for a little bit, even if he's not a long-term answer. Dillon Gabriel was drafted before Shedeur Sanders. He's going to get the next crack. I would not be surprised at all this season if Shedeur Sanders ends up getting a chance to play this season. That would not surprise me in the slightest because it could be a weird year in Cleveland. But I don't think they're making that move in the near future, barring injuries. So prediction, how many games this year will Shedeur Sanders end up playing? Let me know in the comment section of today's show. From Christian, how do you think Aaron Rodgers did? You think off this game, Rodgers can make the Steelers contenders based on what we saw? I don't want to. It's the Jets. I don't want to freak out, overreact one way or the other. I do think that Rodgers played a pretty darn good game. There weren't a lot of like crazy big time throws, but a bunch of touchdowns. He was generally accurate. Didn't really put the ball into harm's way very much. Like a little high on the pressure to sack rate. That's a red flag for me. But you score 34 points. I'm willing to bet you did some good stuff, and that's despite the fact that you didn't really get DK Metcalf going the way I think they're going to be able to once they don't have to go up against Sauce Gardner like each week. I think Calvin Austin showed some good stuff. I don't know how good the Jets actually are, but I do think it was a very good first week for Pittsburgh and should build some confidence. Also from Christian on the Steelers. Thoughts on the Steelers signing Jabril Peppers? Think that he's going to play well with Pittsburgh? I think so. I don't remember if it was it you or was it somebody else who suggested the Steelers go sign Jabril Peppers on one of our recent mailbags? I forget who it was. Deshaun Elliott's banged up. I think he and Juan Thornhill fit pretty decently. Like I think Peppers is kind of best hanging out around the box. I think he could be a really good fit for them. Got to stay healthy, be better than what he was at times over the past couple seasons, but one of the best available free agents. I'm a fan. Now, if you want even more NFL news, rumors, everything else all season long, do not miss out. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/chatsportstv for more free NFL YouTube videos. D. White the Gamer. Thoughts on the recent news of the Broncos selecting Burham Yard as the preferred site for a new stadium in Denver. I would be lying to you if I told you I know where Burham Yard is in Denver. I've never been to Denver in my entire life. I'll say, I don't have anything good about like the location as I zoom out on Google Maps right now. Like my big point is this: don't make the taxpayers pay for it. Like they shouldn't have to. Like, this should be paid for by the Walmart owners. They got more than enough money. You want to build a dope-ass stadium? Sweet. Please do. I bet that's going to be awesome. But don't make the taxpayers pay for it. I don't think that's fair at all. Rant over. A $5 super chat from M.A. Football Guy to wrap up the mailbag. Thank you very much, Big Dad Bod. Me too, buddy. I got to say, Fields for the most impressive Week 1 performance. Aaron Rodgers close second. I think all the new QBs starting their first game had a very impressive performance, or at least reasons to have some confidence in them. Cam Young was still a little bit streaky, but showed some good promises there. Daniel Jones, his best game in how long? I think everything overall, like Fields, Rodgers, Geno, they all look pretty damn good. I don't know if there's a wrong answer for that particular question. So thank you very much for the super chat. Who you got? C for the Commanders, P for the Packers. D White Gamer says it's confirmed the ownership will pay the whole stadium profit. Perfect. Good job then. I don't know much about Burham Yard. I'm sure, or maybe our Broncos guy does. But I just think don't make the taxpayers pay for it. So I'm glad. Use that Walmart money. And if they want to profit from it and keep the proceeds for whatever concerts they have there, sure, that's fine. As you know, it's going to be more expensive to pay for the stadium. I don't know. I'm originally from Cincinnati. That original Bengals deal was the worst for the city of Cincinnati. You're a billionaire owner. I've often said this in general. Don't own a sports franchise and be cheap about it. It's a privilege. If you're going to own a sports franchise, you should treat it as a passion project and spend a bunch of money. You have the money available. That's why you get to own it in the first place. So good job by Denver. Good job. C for the Commanders, P for the Packers. Who you got on Thursday Night Football this week? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. C for the Commanders, P for the Packers, as we get set up for the final segment of today's show. We're breaking down some 2026 early NFL draft risers. These are draft-eligible players, but They probably won't end up all going pro. Maybe they cool off a little bit, decide to stick around for one more year, get some of that sweet NIL money. I'm also trying to not just pick the biggest name players in college football. There are plenty of other names that have risen up draft boards earlier, maybe gotten their eyes on for scouts. Like some of them are big names, and I don't want to overlap it too much with like a round one mock. There's some exceptions, but I didn't want to overdo it on that front. Now, do you like it when we do NFL draft videos? If you do, show it by typing Y for yes. If you want other stuff, that's fine. It's democracy, free area to vote. N for no if you're not a fan. I got 10, and I'm cheating off the top because it's my show. Why not? Some quarterbacks who have flashed early on, and like Garrett Nussmeier was already in round one conversation. I don't want to put him in this bucket. I don't think that's fair necessarily. 3 names I want to mention here. John Mateer, who we've mentioned on previous shows. Aiden Childs, who, if you go back to some of our early summer scouting stuff, we mentioned him. And then Dante Moore, who is draft eligible as a UCLA transfer. I'm not sure he goes pro. But I'll mention all 3 guys. John Mateer and Oklahoma are playing one of the toughest schedules in college football this year. I think compared to like a Sam Levitt, who was really bad against Mississippi State. That was a horrible game from Levitt. Mateer is kind of a little bit, just enough, dialed in the chaotic nature stuff. Like, I don't want to be run around, make play guy. Mateer still does that at times, but I think he's had a very strong start to the season. Aiden Childs' numbers don't pop off the page, although it's been like a 10% jump in completion rate, which is awesome. I watched a lot, really all, of that Michigan State-Boston College game. He was awesome in that game. Like, he was kind of carrying, the run game was good too. He was carrying that. They do like some actual pro quarterback stuff, like the way what they asked Childs to do. I loved what I saw from him. Battled through injury, won the game. He probably needs another year and do the 3-year starter stuff that Bill Parcells loves, but name to monitor. Same with Dante Moore. Sometimes that offense doesn't let players go downfield as much as I'd like them to, but I think Dante Moore through 2 games, acknowledging that Oklahoma State is going to be terrible this year, I think has been very impressive. Some bigger games to come for all 3 of these players, but certainly some good promise early on that, not really very popular in draft conversation period, especially not round 1 draft conversation going into the games. So far, and this could be a bigger name if you want to. You can pick Lenore Sellers. It's fine. Name a quarterback who has impressed you so far this college football season. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Next up is Jonah Coleman, the running back from Washington, who has been admittedly acknowledging it has not been the best level of competition so far for Jonah Coleman. He has been really good. Now, look, again, we're talking about games against Colorado State and UC Davis. He scored 5 touchdowns against UC Davis. Okay, I get it. I love the build. He's 5'9", 228. Got that thick boy body, which is a good thing at running back. It's the Maurice Jones-Drew build to an extent. Not a typo. 7 touchdowns on 39 carries. It's not going to be sustainable, but it's been really good so far. How about Justice Haynes, the Michigan running back who transferred in from Alabama? At times, just some inconsistencies out of Justice Haynes. Well, he's been great in 2 games for Michigan. 35 carries, 284 yards, 4 touchdowns. He is averaging 8.1 yards per carry. Yes, there have been some explosive runs, the 59-yarder against New Mexico, the 75-yarder against Oklahoma. Those still count. At times, he was a bit streakier than I would have liked at Alabama. Like, I don't know if his vision was that great. Better now at Michigan. Maybe it was some blocking issues there. Love what I've seen from him so far. Mekhi Lemon out of USC, which is also just a fun name. Again, I acknowledge level of competition hasn't exactly been the greatest. Like, okay, you beat up Missouri State and Georgia Southern. You get credit for doing it, though. Just 11 catches, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 4 for 158 against Georgia Southern. It was really good. Now, we'll figure out how good this entire USC team is, how good Lemon is later in the year. They got Purdue this weekend. Should be a win. Michigan State, we'll see. And then you get Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame all in a row. That'll be the real determining factor. But in a wide receiver class that's very much up for grabs, like what I've seen so far out of him. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means it can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. So this four-man lineup from Prize Picks, you can do the flex play on it and get one wrong and still cash out. Lamar Jackson, more than yards on the ground. Justin Fields as well. Both guys are going to use their legs. The max discount, Travis Kelce, a half passing yard. Put it in your lineup. Come on. Bijan Robinson, I like the less than rushing yards on that front. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So if you haven't already, go download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Next up, and this is like one of the ones I'm cheating on here because I almost did the Michigan tight end, but that, I don't know. I already had a Michigan player on here. Half did Dante Moore, so whatever. Kenyon Sadiq. Now, 3 catches 60 yards ago, that's not very impressive, Tom. The catches themselves are pretty good. I have also seen him block pretty well, and I think that matters. As the NFL kind of goes through its cyclical nature, I think having a tight end who can block, which I've seen better stuff from Sadiq this year, and make big plays through the air is very valuable, actually. So will Sadiq end up being a first-round pick? Max Clare has, I think, kind of gotten off to a very slow start for Ohio State. I think he's tight end 1 for now, at least. 1 for yes, 2 for no. I almost put my boy Dominique Orange, a.k.a. Big Citrus, on here, the Iowa State defensive tackle. I'm going to go with Xavier Harris, though, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. He is listed at 6'8", 330 pounds. It's like, that is bigger than Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner. Like, that's unbelievable size. 11 tackles through 2 games, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, a pick, and a handful of pressures. Now, the pressures aren't that high, but also you're 6'8", 330. Like, you're not going to be an elite level disruptor. There are some very intriguing defensive tackle prospects this year that are kind of setting themselves up for breakout years. Harris is one of them. How about Cassius Howell, the edge from Texas A&M? The overall stats here might not pop off the screen. Again, I'm happy to acknowledge the level of competition concerns here for Texas A&M. We're going to get a great test against Notre Dame, whose tackles also weren't very good in the opening game of the season. UTSA, Utah State, who cares? The 3 sacks, okay, those were on 3 straight plays on the same drive. He blew up the entire drive by himself. Sack, sack, sack. It's just unheard of. Like, even Myles Garrett didn't do that. We all freaked out for Myles Garrett with 2 sacks on 3 plays. He did it on all 3 plays. I don't care who you're playing against. That's wildly impressive. 20.5% pressure rate. I'm talking about a guy with already more production than Shamar Stewart. Like, come on, that's really good. This one was mostly based on week 1 because Ohio State's 3rd stringers beat the crap out of Grambling. Arvell Reese, I was extremely impressed by in the first game of the season. 13 tackles, a TFL, a sack, and 5 pressures so far this year. All but 4 tackles came against Texas. The TFL, the sack, the pressures. He and Sonny Styles, plus like the LSU linebackers who look pretty damn good against Clemson, all those guys look good so far this season. If you want even more NFL draft content, do not miss out. Hit that sub button for more free NFL draft YouTube videos. Free, simple, easy. All you have to do is hit that sub button and you won't miss out. Mansour Delane, the cornerback out of LSU, formerly the Virginia Tech product. I have been wildly impressed by him. Now again, this past week was not the same level of competition for LSU, Louisiana Tech. Who cares? The Clemson game still merits more conversation. Look at these numbers. He has been targeted 12 times in coverage so far this season. He has allowed 2 catches for 25 yards, has a pick, and 3 pass breakups. I liked what I saw at Virginia Tech. He was kind of buried on a not great team, was even maybe better earlier in his career. Like, we mentioned him in our 2024, or I guess 2025 draft coverage. Like, hey, guy to monitor. Transfers. This kid, if he keeps this up, look out round 1. Finally, Earl Little Jr., the safety out of Florida State, formerly at Alabama, transferred to FSU, hadn't had the best start to his career, and then I was wildly impressed. He was everywhere against Alabama. Maybe it was just because he's playing his old team that barely put him on the field. 11 tackles the past 2 weeks, a TFL, a pick, a pass breakup, has been targeted 3 times in coverage, hasn't allowed a catch yet. FSU football very much seems to be back, at least for now. I'm not going to read anything into beating the crap out of East Texas A&M. I'm not going to read anything about beating Kent State or maybe even Virginia. Let's see how they do against Miami, October 4th, a game that might actually matter for a top 10 team as of filming. Who else has been an NFL draft riser for you so far this year? This is the non-quarterback edition. Let me know in the comments section of today's show who else has been an NFL draft riser for you this season. Back to the pin poll, the better quarterback debut, not counting J.J. McCarthy because we mentioned him separately. AR for Aaron Rodgers, leading the way at 41% of the votes. Geno Smith in third at 17%. Daniel Jones in fourth at 15%. I didn't put Cam Ward on the poll because I didn't think anyone would vote for him. Daniel Jones, 27%. Good for DJ. He needed that. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. He gets Denver next week. I'm not sure that's going to be as good of a game for Daniel Jones. So we will be live all season long. Hope you enjoyed our power rankings video this morning. More NFL videos to come throughout the week. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button at youtube.com/chatsportstv.